Hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the studio this evening where we are going to be painting that up there. A beautiful pheasant, ring-necked pheasant. Hello, Tom. Good evening to you. I absolutely fell in love with pheasants as a small child. My both sets of grandparents that I had would have stuffed pheasants around their house, and they're just so beautiful. I know stuffed animals today probably are a bad thing to have around. It was a different time, different era. We all lived by slightly different rules, but it gave me a love for that animal, and to see some in the wild was unbelievable. They are such a beautiful creature. We're going to try, or I should say, I am going to try to paint one of these this evening. Hopefully you all come along with me. We are streaming on YouTube and on Twitch, whichever way Twitch is over there. It might be behind me. I'm not sure. So both places this evening. Hello, everybody, on both platforms. The paper that I'm using, this is my Fabriano Studio watercolor paper. I don't know how big this is, 12 by 16, maybe a nice decent size. I had to make it large. I had to make it large enough that I could get the bird on here and still have the bird large enough that it gave us room to see it. One problem with these birds is they have this, it's not a problem, but they have this beautiful big long tail that comes out of the back of them. This fantastic tail, but it does make them take up a lot of space. Yeah, Tom, you said your dad had several in his house. It was so much more common back in the day to have stuffed animals. They were just there. That was a part of what it was for many families. Mine was one of them. I grew up with a real bearskin rug on my floor. I don't know what has ever happened to it. And I tell people that and they're like, what? That's crazy. But it's just what it was. The brushes that I'm using tonight, like I do most nights, are going to be my King Art brushes. I've used this one so much, all the paint has come off. But there's what it is. If you can see that, King Art, there you go. These are the 90-20 series pointed round brushes. I think they're fantastic for the way I paint. They may not be all that for everybody, but for me, they're fantastic. I've got my palette over here on my right-hand side, and it's looking a little messy already. I've been doing some painting throughout the week. I can show you what I've been up to if you want, but I'm going to just jump right in with this. Anybody who's here, whether that be on YouTube or on Twitch, please throw it out there. Questions, comments, concerns. Excuse me. I don't mind talking the whole time I'm painting, but I think you guys are going to have a little bit more of an enjoyable time if you join in rather than just let me carry on. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm looking at the head of this pheasant. If you look at the head and take out the red that goes right around his eye, he's got this wonderful iridescent sheen to it. This is one of the things that makes this bird so beautiful. Surike, hello, hello, hello. One of the things that makes this bird so beautiful is that iridescent sheen. I am going to try to emulate that with my phthalo colors, and I want to have more of a pure phthalo color. I got some blue in my tray on my palette here, so I'm going to wipe that off just a little bit. And I'm going to try to do this the right way, right? The right way, and I'm going to start with the lighter of the colors, and that would be, for me, phthalo green, right? Phthalo blue, a little darker, a little heavier. We can go right over top of the green with that, and I want to start to get a base color on here. Now, in weeks past, in paintings past, I have just kind of gone over everything and when I'm going to make one big wash over everything, or one wash over most of everything. I'm not going to do that for a lot of this bird, and the reason is that I have some definite areas where I can stop and start my painting. Some actual hard edges that I can adhere to. And that's going to make painting this a little easier in smaller areas. Where there's one large area and you really have to kind of be careful about things. You don't have to be careful about things. You can let your colors bleed and run together. Wetting your whole page at once, probably not a bad idea. It's a good way to get going. But on this one, we've got a few areas that are easily, broken apart from the others. So I'm going to try to paint all of those individually. All right. So I got some of that wonderful phthalo green on there. And while I've got my colors out, I'm going to grab some of this phthalo blue. And I'm going to just dab this into a couple of these areas where I know it needs to be a little darker, right? And I guess that phrase really kind of bothers me a little bit as I'm saying it. I know it needs to be a little darker. It doesn't need to be darker anywhere. You can do the whole head green. You can do the whole head blue. I don't think anybody would be upset about either. And the feathers are the colors that the feathers are, really. What we're talking about are the parts that reflect the light just slightly differently, right? So if this bird's head were turned a slightly different way, we'd see slightly different colors in a different area. And that's all well and good. But I do want to get a little bit of color on here right now. Something like that. And then these colors, those are awfully wet. That's all right. And these colors are going to run together and they're going to try to get happy and blend and make friendly with each other. We can get a little bit more up here. And I'm also trying to follow my own advice of not letting any one layer get too dark. Right? The small area should dry fairly quickly. We can come back and do more in 5 minutes, all right, when that area dries. All right, cool. Now, that's all well and good. That's the major thing above the neck here. Kenya's here. Hello, Kenya. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you here. I forgot what I was going to say. here in the body, okay, this is how I'm looking at it. Let me rinse my brush and set this down for a minute and get something I can point with. Where's my cotton brush I like to point with? Here's what I'm going to do. The tail, everything from where I've made the feather line here and out, kind of, not completely, but kind of has a little different color than this part of the body, right? It's a little, I would say it's a little grayer. With a little gray, a little sepia in there. All of this up here. So if I don't get to that with this, I'm okay with it. Right? Now, this part of the body, we have some beautiful colors up here. This is going to be some burnt umbers, maybe some maroon color up here, right? Some strong, bold color up here on his chest. And as it comes over, it'll lighten up a little bit. And then when it comes back here, we're getting into like a yellow ochre as it comes back here. And then underneath the tail back here is going to be more of a darker color back into a sepia. So we got that whole color range along the top up there. And then as we come down here, if I had a burnt umber. Raw umber, what do I use? I use burnt umber. If I had raw umber, this would be kind of a raw umber under here. We're going to mix our burnt umber with a little orange to get a beautiful color coming down the front of the bird here, and again, some darker sepias in here. And then this is just going to be a really light, kind of a light ochre gray color, very light ochre gray color. So there's going to be a lot going on here. It's going to mix into the other areas a little bit. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I'm going to tell myself I'm okay with it. But we're gonna do it, and we're gonna see how it goes. You know what? I'm gonna get a little bit bigger brush for this. We can cover a little bit more ground more quickly. And I'm going to actually buy myself a little bit of time by pre-wetting at least some of this area. And I should say I can easily go up here and grab the right water that I need. Right now everything is pretty easy, but I have 2 tubs of water up here. One is clean water and one is dirty water. So the clean water, a dirty brush never goes into. A brush that goes into my a brush that goes into my clean water has at least once been dunked into my dirty water. Brushes that go into dirty water can just be anything. And that way, if I get later into this painting and I need to make sure I've got some clean water, or I need to mix a color and I want to make sure I've got some clean water, I've got one whole jug of water. It's actually a coffee can of water up here that's nice and clean. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start with some burnt umber. This is fresh. I squirted it out of the tube onto my palette yesterday. Super fresh. And I just want to be a little cognizant because this is a color that can cake up a little bit. It gets a little chalky if you're not careful with it. But I think we're going to be all right. The paper is, this paper is part cotton, 25% cotton paper. And that should help a little bit with preventing it from getting really chalky if we get a little bit too thick. I don't think we're going to get too thick, but we'll see how it goes. All right, some of this beautiful red color as it comes down. Right, and I just want to start getting some beautiful colors on here. This is going to be a little bit of ochre down here. maybe even into a little bit of orange as we go. I almost dipped in the wrong color, or the wrong water up there. This is one thing that's absolutely fantastic about this bird, is there are so many colors on here, and they just, even on the bird itself, they blend so nicely from one color to the next color to the next color that I don't think we could do it wrong, even if we tried to do this wrong. Right, I got some of this umber that comes across the top up here. I'm going to leave some of these feathers up here a little lighter. That's okay, and this is definitely going to be some ochre colors along the back here. It's going to look really nice when we're done, and let's blend a few of these colors in. Now this is going to be, I'm not going to say this is going to be a masterclass, but this is going to be a night where we probably are going to get to do a lot of blending, right? And if there's one thing I like to do, it's blend my colors. I love dropping in some other colors and blending it and getting a nice variegated wash, or a nice graded wash in somewhere. That's one of the things I really like to do. Oh, I guess I could have gone right over this whole thing, couldn't I? Let's get some color all over this whole area. Just some very light color. The bird's starting to look good to me, starting to take a little shape. Can darken this up in here ever so slightly. I think back here if we want to. Ooh, that's pretty dark. It's pretty dark for layer one. I hope you all are having I haven't said it yet. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. I'm having a pretty good week. The weather has turned here. We had exactly 1.5 weeks of winter. And in my part of the world, we're done with it. Woohoo! It's projected to hit 80 degrees here. 80 degrees tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. It's projected to hit 80 degrees here tomorrow. So my winter is officially done. I know that doesn't help many of you out there. You're still being forced to live through some doldrums of winter. Everybody's still getting snowstorms. The entire East Coast is getting pounded. I feel bad for you, but not bad enough to to actually do anything like move there or anything. I said last week, one of the reasons I moved to California was to get away from all of that stuff. And it worked for the most part. My 1 week of winter is plenty, I think. Like it's still been snowing there. Yeah, see? Yeah, I feel for you. I feel badly. I do. But I will say, there's a reason it gets cold in other areas. It's supposed to. Actually, it's supposed to get cold where I live. I wish we had a winter. I'm glad we don't. But I wish we did. Things are already in bloom. Things are growing. Shouldn't be happening. It's too early. It never got cold enough for some plants and flowers. It probably didn't get quite cold enough for some animals. But I don't know that there's a whole lot I can do about it right now, other than try to get by with it. The snow. Siddiqui missed the snow. How did you miss the snow? How did that happen? This snowstorm or all snowstorms? All right, I'm going to paint these feathers. I told you these feathers were a slightly different color. Still a beautiful color. It's like a velvety, a gray velvety color on this tail. I want to get some of this color on here. Actually, I want to get some additional color on here. There we go. I'm trying not to, and I did a good job in here, I think. I'm trying not to only mix my colors on the palette. it's not a problem, really. Lots of people mix colors on the palette. But I want to teach myself to move away from that just a little bit. Pretty much all the snowstorms. Good for you. Good for you. I want to move away from that habit just a little bit and let some of those colors mix here on the paper rather than on the palette. I think it's just going to allow more funky, interesting things to happen on the page. All right. So now we've got the whole body painted, one layer, except for some feet. We'll come back and do the feet later. And with any luck, and it's not quite, but it's pretty close. That head is dry. And we can start to come back and add some extra color to that. Darken it up, right? Layer number 2, layer number 3. I don't know. I think I went back over part of this. Anyways, but I just want to start adding another layer to it. I've dropped down a couple of brush sizes now. This is a 4, I think. Oh, this is a 6. This is size 6. Brush sizes don't mean anything. They really don't. Different manufacturers have different standard sizes, and even different lines that different manufacturers have are all different sizes. So brush sizes don't necessarily mean anything, but for this one, it's a 6. How silly does that sound? These don't matter, but this one's a 6. Small area, I have to concentrate. Just give me a moment. I hope I'm not off the camera. I hope you can all still see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to drop over and get some of this beautiful phthalo green color to mix on the underside of the head, the jaw here. And I'm going to let these two, the green and the blue, mix together up there. And then I'm just going to pull this out. And I'm going to hope for something wonderful to happen. And I'm certain that it will. Even if it doesn't, we can go back and fix whatever. But it's going to turn out great. It's going to turn out wonderful. Let's see. I do have an announcement that I need to make. Next week, a week from tonight, I will not be broadcasting because I will be going to a... It sounds a little funny to say, but I'll be going to a play. If anybody has seen or heard the play Book of Mormon, I'm going to be going to see the play Book of Mormon. It's coming to town. I've basically got one chance if I want to see it, and I do. It's gotten great reviews from everybody, I think, or nearly everybody, and I don't want to miss it. So the only time I could get tickets were on a Wednesday, so unfortunately I have to go on a Wednesday. It looked like this just blipped for a second. Did I blip for a second? I hope I didn't, but I think I might have. Amy, thank you. Have you seen it, Kenya? Do you want to see it? I mean, I'm not inviting you. I would, but I don't think it's going to work out for this show anyways. Have you seen it? I've only heard about it, so I have not seen it. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it. Okay, I'm going to jump back up a brush size again, and here's where we can really start to do a few things. Get my burnt umber. I've got this purple on my palette up here. That's fine. I'm going to get a little bit of that maroon perylene, and I'm going to put it in here. around his ring neck, a ring-necked pheasant. A little bit more brown, a little bit more of this maroon in there. And I'm going to put a nice color of this on. I'm going to start blending it down. I'm going to blend it down. I should ask, I don't even know. I don't know how you guys even watch this stream. If you watch on a phone or something like that, I totally understand why sometimes it's difficult to type in while you're watching or whatnot. I have a friend who puts on a game show on not every Friday evening, but some Friday evenings. He runs his own game show. He has his own prizes, gets people to come in to it, and they do like match game. What are the other ones he does? A couple of them like match game. You know, the old game shows that you used to see on TV on weekday afternoons or something. I kind of remember them being on when I would come home from school back in the day. Something like that. Anyway, he runs his own game shows, and you know, my youngest, Finn, is active at school, and I often have to pick Finn up after work. And Friday evening is, hey, let me back up for a second. Oh, yeah. My mouth and my brain are not synced up here all of a sudden. He puts this game show on Friday evenings. When he puts it on Friday evenings. Finn, my youngest, is quite active in school, in theater and other events. And often needs to be picked up from practice, as kids do, as youths do. It's totally cool. But if he broadcasts a show and I want to watch it, that means I'm sitting in my car sometimes waiting to pick Finn up. And one of the things he does is he has audience participation, and you can try to play the game along with the contestants, and it's tough. It's tough sometimes. I'm not really good at it. I'm not really good at playing on a mobile device. I will be honest with you. You can easily say I am completely not good at it at all. At all. All right, a little ochre here. Get a nice bright spot right in the center there. Ooh, so I will tell you, I'm loving the colors on this so far. It looks like I got a little dark right here at the top. We'll fix that as we go along. We'll brush that out, or we'll add another layer on top of it. We'll get that taken care of. And I love the little bit of blue that's in here. I don't even know if you can see it. I don't know how well it picks up. There's that little bit of blue I put in there, dropped in there. Adds a bit of interest to it. Adds a bit of life or color, I think. Sepia really darkens some of these colors down. Put a little bit of this dark down here. So luckily I've drawn in most of the feathers down here. And so I can tell roughly, I did it very quickly, I can tell roughly where all these are at. All the feathers is what I'm talking about. I can tell roughly where all these feathers are at. And I know roughly how I want them to look. And so hopefully they all turn out just like I want. And if they don't turn out just like I want, you know what? They're going to turn out fantastic anyways. I'm just going to make that assertion right now. They're just gonna. It's just gonna turn out right. That's all there is to it. You hear that, pheasant? You got to go along with it now. It's got to turn out. Okay, all right. Now I've got this beautiful dark that I'm working with over here. I'm going to continue with a little bit of this dark color. It feels a little weird. I feel like I'm a little ahead of the game right now. I'm jumping around a little bit, waiting for some areas to dry up a little bit. I feel like I'm just a little bit ahead of the game. I wouldn't necessarily be doing this quite this early on some other paintings. Oh, and I've got for those of you who are not members of my Discord channel, there's no pressure. It's fine. I've decided what I want to do for the month of, what's coming up next? March? March. For the month of March. I guess we're only going to have 3 months to do this in. But that's okay. That's okay. It'll be fine. I want to, I think I asked you guys last week or the week before if you had any ideas on what I could do with the classic painting girl with a diamond earring. And it hit me yesterday while I was out here painting. And I took my drawing and I changed it a little bit. And if you can see, I took her face off. I erased her face. It's still under there a little bit. And I gave her some alien eyes and a Saturn earring here. I actually took her earring off, or her ear off, because I don't know that aliens have ears. So I'm going to do a whole month of alien paintings. And I don't know if anybody else is going to like that, but I think it's going to be hysterical. The pheasant came along at the right time. I'm planning on doing a duck. Oh, there you go. So this will help you with those feathers. Oh, ducks are great too. I love ducks. Ducks are fantastic. Kenya, I'm trying to think. What kind of duck are you doing? I need to know. What kind of duck are you doing? Or what kinds, I guess maybe, of ducks are you doing? I don't want to just assume you're only doing an duck. You're doing a duck. Can you? Oh, you like aliens? That should be fun. Okay, so cool. So here's my idea with the aliens. Stick with me on this one. I've had that painting or that drawing done for quite a while, and I've wanted to do something with it. So I've now determined I'm going to do an alien painting with it. I've also in the past done alien paintings of some other classics, right? I think my best one was American Gothic, where the husband and wife standing out in front of a farmhouse with a pitchfork. They are aliens. They're complete and total aliens. They're green. And I think it's fantastic. But after I did it, I was like, I think I could do this better. I really think I could do this better. And so I want to do that one again. So we might be doing American Gothic. I was thinking probably I could do, I was giggling while I was thinking about this. Probably I could do like the Mona Lisa. That's probably sacrilegious to so many people. Do the Mona Lisa as an alien, right? My thought was I wouldn't even have to change her smile. It's going to be the same regardless because she doesn't really smile. But do the Mona Lisa. And then I was like, well, what are the weird things or weird faces are out there? And I could do like Edward Munch's The Scream, right? Classic painting. Everybody knows it. I could do one of a self-portrait from Vincent van Gogh. He's like when he's got the the wrap around his ear and the hat on, I was like, that kind of fits in there. It kind of fits. And then I was like, well, I could do like Andy Warhol did these Marilyn Monroe paintings. I could do an Andy Warhol painting of Marilyn Monroe as an alien. I don't know. I had all these ideas, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. So I hope you guys are going to go, yeah, okay, that sounds like fun. And you all want to see it because I think it's going to be an absolute hoot. I can't wait to get started on it. Actually, a duckling, okay, it's going to be somewhat cartoon-like, but with more realism in the painting. Okay, cool. I think it's a fantastic idea. I like a little fun and a little whimsy. No, it doesn't have to be completely realistic for everything. I think it's a fantastic idea to do something like that. Good. I hope I get to see it. Excuse me, when you're done with it. All right. So it's got this beautiful orangey color down here. Maybe on the next layer, I'm going to let this dry. Maybe on the next layer, we'll get even a little bit more color in here. And you know what? I want to, before I let this go too far, that looks more like a sawtooth here. Maybe let's just do this. Let's just make that go all the way like that. I'm not sure that's exactly how this is in that photo, but it's fine. It's fine. I think it's going to be better like that. It looks better, a little fuller, rather than having a break in the wings there. Some beautiful colors here. Some beautiful colors. I don't know why, but I want to get some blue in here. I really do. I think with all of these super warm colors in here, a little spot of a cooler color kind of in the middle here is really going to stand out. But I don't want it to really punch you too much in the face. Although I'm okay if it does. I've never been too concerned about that, but just a nice little something in here. And maybe I'm just doing it to prove to myself that, you know, more colors, different colors really help make things look cooler, way more better. English is very nearly my first language. Sometimes I speak English more gooder than others. Actually, I should say, when I do a live stream or when I speak in front of somebody, I don't even try to think about English. I mean, I know I shouldn't. I'm a native English speaker, but I don't specifically even try to think about English. The only thing that's on my mind, and I'll say sometimes some crazy things, and I'll look back at whatever I said, or, you know, if I do a video like this, I'll look back at it sometimes and I went, really? I said that? I don't even remember saying anything like that. And why would I do that? But what I really try to focus on is not having too many stutter words or blocks in my speech or stumbling or those uhs or ums or you know, those bits of speech that play no role other than to impede your speech from one saying to the next. You know what? I'm not sure I want that like that. I have that drawn as two pieces, but you know what? I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to make that one whole dark area in here. One whole dark area. Or darker-ish area. I didn't like that hard line in there, so I'm changing this right now. I know my drawing has it a little different. I don't like it. I hope I've got the ability to change this along the way. I think I've got the ability to change this along the way. Okay. I'm looking up on my screen up there. I think it looks a little better. I don't have any idea if it looks like my reference photo. I don't know. When I look at a reference photo, I want to get some general colors off of it, some vague idea, but I want to use it a lot more for the shape and for general patterns of colors, right? Green, red, orange, brown in here, gray up here. Those are the things I want to take from that photo more than anything else. I've never been one who's been too concerned with making it match and look just like my reference photo. They often come out looking something like that reference photo, but usually not too exact. All right, so I don't know if this is layer 3 or layer 4 on here. This is, again, phthalo blue, because I want to darken it up a little bit, right? I have put in a little bit of neutral tint in here. Could I have put something else? Absolutely. Absolutely I could. I could have put in some sepia or some burnt umber, and that would have grayed it down. The neutral tint allows it to be a little bit more blue than gray as it goes on here. But you know, there are always different ways to do this. You could have put some orange in here. Actually, some orange in here would have made it interesting. It would have grayed it down. You know, they're complementary colors. Would have grayed it down and given it an interesting look. Lots of different things we could have done. I chose the cheap, easy route, probably. I just picked up the neutral tint and put it on here. Okay, cool. So now look, all of a sudden, right? Look, that little bit of neutral tint on there really makes that look iridescent now. And that makes it really pop off of there. You got a little bit of different things to do here, right? There's still a little bit of work to go, but all of a sudden putting that dark on there really made that green, that lighter green, just pop and stand out. Oh, looks fantastic. Looks so good. So good. I'm gonna mix up some more of this burnt umber, and I'm looking more for shape with this. I want to bring this down, bring this way down. I don't think this is going to be dark enough to really take that red tint out of it. I don't want to take that red tint out of it. I think the red tint on this is absolutely fantastic. I want to do a little bit to maybe even out this color a little bit. And then because I don't like hard lines, I'm going to blend this down, way out, blend it out, blend it out, blend it out. Oh, it's looking so good. Got a little, my paper's puckered just ever so slightly. And so the water's just pooling ever so slightly on the edge there. But oh, look at, oh, he's looking good. He's looking good. I like the color. I love the gradation here, right? Got this brown red into an ochre here, into darker color down here. And along the back, look how cool that blue looks there now. Right, got this brown, red, into a blue, into an ochre, back into a brown, and then into this tail color. It looks so good. I don't want to mess with it too much. I want to let it sit and dry a little bit. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to work on a leg down here, right? I'm going to work on a leg. This leg is in shadow. I don't want to be afraid to put a little bit of blue in here to push that back, but I don't want so much blue that it overtakes it. Blue, in my opinion, sometimes can overtake a painting. If you let it, it can really, it's like a background strong color, right? A bright red or something will really take over in the foreground. But if you have a blue on there and it's just not quite right, it can really take over in the background. It can really take over in the background. I don't want to do that. But there is some shadow area back there, right on that leg. There it is. Just a little bit of blue in there. Just a little bit of blue to denote a bit of shadow. And we can put some of that, same blue, and it's just ultramarine really, back up underneath here, underneath the breast feathers here and the wing. Back up underneath here in this area. We can put some of that blue back there, but I want to make sure I get it on here to differentiate that leg from the front leg, and then we can differentiate the front leg from that area. Just want to make sure that we're dividing things up the right way, or I don't know, not dividing it up. We're doing sectioning up things the right way. I guess that's a better way to say it. All right, what do we have? This is wet. This is wet. We've got a tail back here, right? Now, we've got a tail back here. I'm going to, looks like I went out of my line just a little bit, so this guy's tail might be just a little fatter than it needs to be. That's all right. That's all right. I'm going to put just a touch of ochre on here. Just a touch of ochre, and that's going to warm it and lighten it a little bit. It's going to warm it and lighten it a little bit. And then we're going to have maybe a bit of a shadow line on there, and maybe a bit of some, well, we're going to have a bit of a shadow line and maybe a bit of some other color. I don't know. Not sure. Kenny, now I'm doing all this and I haven't painted a feather yet. You said you were hoping this was going to help you with a feather, and then I'm talking away and I'm just putting color on here and there, and then I'm all like, I don't think this is going to help you with a duck. Nothing I've done here yet is going to help you paint a duck in any way, shape, or form. So I sorry about that. But I don't paint feathers the way most people do anyways, right? I don't typically like to, and I'm going to have to do some positive feather painting on here, obviously, but I don't typically really like to paint feathers. I like to paint not feathers. You're patiently waiting. I like to negative paint my feathers, and I think that offers a cooler kind of a look than positive painting them. I'm sorry, I've got like the largest water jug in the world here. But I am going to have to do some feather detail on here, and maybe I should get started with a little bit of that right now. And I'm going to do it with a little bit of this. It's just a lot of this bird is this burnt umber color. But let's do this. Let me let you see what I'm going to talk about here. Where's my reference photo? There you go. So you can see this a little bit larger. Now, if you take a quick look at that, or maybe a studied look at that, you can see that the individual feathers have some darkness to them that outline it, kind of on the top. I'm talking about the triangular feathers. Kind of on the top, kind of on the bottom, and they mix together and they go over top of each other, right? The rounded feathers kind of at the top of the wing, those are just, I don't know, they're like semicircles, and the feather shape is totally different. The coloring is totally different. Hopefully you guys can see that. So we're going to have to do some lines on here. But I don't think it's going to be that bad, right? We're totally going to be able to do this because a lot of this is just straight lines, right? We've already got the undercolor on. Actually, before we do this, we've got some other color we need to put back here. Let's do that. Let's do this first. Let's get this color on first. Okay, so a couple of feathers in here are fairly gray as it comes way out to the edge. Turn this guy all the way around. These ones have quite a bit of gray in them. Just at the tips. There we go. Just at the tips. And blend this up as far as we want to blend that up, really. It won't matter. We just want to make sure that the color of the ends of these, so you can see, right? We've got this really nice pale color up here, and these ones are a little bit more, a little grayer. Let's just say it that way, a little grayer. All right, so then I'm going to start up here with some of the feathers up here. And is this the brush I want? This is not the brush I want. So this is a good time to recognize. This is a good time for me to recognize the limitations of this brush. This is not the brush I want. This is a pointed round, and I think I'll do better with something a little less pointed. And give me a piece of scratch paper. Do I have scratch paper somewhere? There's a piece of scratch paper here. I think this is a Da Vinci Casaneo brush. Yep. I think this is going to give us something that is roughly the width that I want. If I were to do this with that pointed round brush, it would be half that size. And then I'd have to push a little harder on it than I want. I want the brush to do as much of the work as possible so that I don't have to. So I'm going to, and this is very light, especially for this first layer. I'm just going to put some lines on here. Ooh, I just touched that and that's still a little damp. I don't want to do that. Okay. Get a little closer to it on this side. Oh, I feel like I can do a pull stroke here a lot better than I can do a push stroke. They're like big fish scales here. Basically what I'm painting. And really light, really light, really light. There they are. You can see them now. If we don't like them, they're much easier to take off of there this way than they are the other way. And you can see we've gone around that cool lightness in the center so that when it's there and it's just light, it just looks right. It's going to work out. 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 And then, is that quite dry enough? Now I'm going to go back. I'm looking up here at my reference photo. I'm going to go back to my round brush, my pointed round brush. And all of these are much more triangular. Much more triangular. I was going to put a little line right there and smear it out just ever so slightly. Just ever so slightly. Lift that up. And then there's going to be a couple lines inside. So now we've got the two different types of feathers back and forth there. And that's kind of what we want. It's kind of exactly what we want. And then these get bigger and bigger down here. These have bigger lines. It was a little wet down there, but I'm not gonna sweat it. I'm not gonna sweat it. So now we can see littler feathers, bigger, really big flight feathers all the way down here. And no, I don't typically do this that often. This is not specifically my style of painting, but it's okay. It's okay. Part of painting is learning, right? And if we don't do some of this sometimes, we won't learn how to do, we won't stretch a little bit. So I'm happy to do a little bit of this and stretch a little bit and gain a little bit more understanding in how to paint this. Now, having said that, now I'm just going to let that dry for a couple of minutes. I'm going to move on. I'm going to come back and do a little bit more. I want to punch up the green, some of the green on this head a little bit. And I'm really jumping around here, which is a lot of what you have to do. Jump around, make it look really nice, and maybe just some of the straight, a little bit of the straight blue. Can I get this strong enough? I don't want to overpower the color that's there already, but if I get a little bit of that blue in there, I think it'll look cool. Okay, I like that. I like it. Just, I gotta tell myself, just walk away. Just step back. It looks cool. It's got a nice sheen to it. I just need to walk away a little bit. Whew. And while I do that, I'm going to get into a red. And if it gets into a little bit of this purple over here, that's okay. And why there's a hair in on my palette, I don't know. With a little bit of this pyrrole red, what for me is pyrrole red. And everything up here should be fairly dry, except for where I just touched it. So right around the eye, if I could paint in a circle, I'm going to try my very hardest right now to do that. And we're going to bring his head, the rest of his head, to life. We're going to do this red, and I don't know what that's called around the eye. Somebody might want to look that up. I don't really know what it's called. I'm assuming it's like the comb and the wattles on a chicken, but slightly different. But being right around that eye, I don't have any idea what that's called. All right, cool. There's some red around there. I went just about as well as I can get around that eye. Keeping it nice and round. Oh, ready to pop out of there. All right, what do we got? I'm going to go with a little bit of gamboge. The beak on this bird is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of differing colors on it. Maybe I'll put a little bit, maybe that gamboge is a little bit much. Let me put a little bit of ochre into that too. It is funny that I look at this bird and I see these beautiful colors on it. And then you look at any one given area of this bird and you're like, it's just brown. It's just brown. There's a lot of ochre. There's a lot of burnt umber. There's not a whole lot to it. But when you look at it in total, it's like, this is a fantastic looking animal. So beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then there's a little bit of color on his head up here. It's a white patch really, but it's got a little bit of color on it. It just helps it stand out a little bit, right? Just a little bit of color there and there. It's not a true white. And I do want to give, it's going to be like a bluey gray. on his ring. Right, it is a ring-necked pheasant. I want to give him some cool colors on that ring. Clean water, clean water, clean water. Really light colors here. I put it at the bottom, and if it's gonna come up a little bit, then let it come up a little bit. My bench is slightly slanted, so most of this color should come and slant back down to the bottom, or fill back down to the bottom. And if it doesn't, I can just push it just like that. Just push it ever so slightly. It'll be fine. And tease it up where it needs to, and that should just give some an orbital ring. Okay, cool. It's an orbital ring. An orbital ring. Like where our orbital socket is. That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you, Kenny, for looking that up. Thank you. I'm going to add a little bit more detail here to some of these. This is really kind of a chaotic area in here. Might be a little darker than I want. I'm just going to dab a little bit of that color off. There's some dots and some other bits of something in here. I don't really know what all this is. But if I put a couple of marks on there, it's gonna make it look like I spent a million hours putting some detail on here when I really didn't. We didn't spend all that much time with it. We just quickly put it on there and assumed, and rightfully so, that it was going to work. And wrong brush. I got the totally wrong brush. I could see that 1 second after I started to put that paint on. I'm going to give this, in order to make this stand out a little bit from the rest of this color, I'm going to add just a little bit of that maroon perylene in here. Let's pop this color up a little bit. All right, let's just pop this up a little bit. To me, this really is screaming pheasant. It really screams pheasant. It looks like a pheasant to me. I'll bet you. So maybe this doesn't, maybe it looks a little odd up close with these straight lines that I'm putting on right now. Always seems funny to me that I'm just painting a line and I'm leaving it in a painting. Painting a line, but I'm not doing much of anything with it. It's just a line. To me, there's always something weird about that. That's in my own head that I can't get over all the time. Doesn't have anything to do with the painting, but it looks right. And they look a little thin, but it looks right having that up there. But it's always weird that I'm not doing more with it. I'm like, I should be doing more. I don't know. Let's let it sit and let's let it stand. Let's see how it looks. Let's give a little bit of extra color here to our front leg. Right, we got some extra color coming in right here. Now I want to make sure this leg is not darker than the leg behind it. And mix up a little bit of that gray. And then I said we could put some of that blue-gray color right up in here. Will hopefully make these feathers stand out a little bit more, make them look like they're popping out. Just a little bit more than maybe they really do. That's okay. We can help it along. We can help it along a little bit. I'm okay with that. As I've grown kind of as a watercolor painter, I've realized that none of watercolor painting, I shouldn't say none of watercolor painting, but there's so much of watercolor painting And I have to believe it goes along with everything that gets painted, right? Whether it's watercolors or whether it's oils or acrylics or anything like that, that you don't worry so much about painting the right color, right? Because I don't know what the right color is, but painting a color that works for what you're going to do, right? So in our situation, I want to make sure we have a line here that, ends these feathers, keeps that leg from that leg and from back here. Cool. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to add a little different color to it. All right. Well, that's not what it looks like in the reference photo. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're painting something that's helping our painting, whether it matches what's in the reference photo or not. And there we go. Look at that. I think that looks great. Maybe we'll bring this color all the way out. I've got it's just kind of a rough edge here. These feathers aren't all tucked in perfectly smooth or anything like that. Let's get some more of this, a little more sepia. Everybody's really quiet tonight. Well, I guess we have a little bit of a smaller crowd tonight than we normally have, but everybody's quiet. I feel like I'm just rambling on. And again, I'm willing to do that. I'm totally willing to do that. I haven't heard anything from the Twitch side. Here are the Twitch folks. If you're over there, let me flip over and see how many people are over there on Twitch. Last time I looked, there were a few. There's a few there now. Anybody who's over there and you want to stop and say hello, I would love to hear from you. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Down here, down. And the further down I come, I want to get more. The further down from underneath this tail, I want to get more ochre, more umber-y. More umber-y. How about that? More umber-y. And I'll even add in a little bit of my maroon in here, just to add maybe a layer of balance to this. Right, we've got some of this beautiful, paraline color up here. Let's give a little bit back there, and then this can come all the way up to those feathers, nice and soft, nice and graduated, awash all the way up there. Something like that. Something just about like that. I think that looks pretty good. Again, I don't know if this is what it's supposed to look like, and I'm not quite honestly worried if this is what it's supposed to look like, but I think it looks pretty nice. I'm gonna get some of this gray color, and I'm gonna put it here. I like darker colors on ends oftentimes. The end of this tail feather can be a little darker, and it lightens as it goes away. It lightens as it goes away. Shoo, as we move it out. Sometimes that just helps to seat it in just a little bit. You know what? Let's just get a little bit of Payne's Gray in there. Payne's Gray has just a little bit of blue in it. Let's drop that in there. Let's see how that looks. And then we'll blend that way out. This could be a blue that kind of blows everything out. But we'll put that in and see what that looks like. And I'll bet you if we just blend it enough. Cool, a little colder here, and it goes out and gets a little warmer out there. Okay. God, so much of this that I really like. So much of this painting I really like. It's got this head. Is his head dry? His head's dry. let's do this. I was going to work on some more details down here in the feathers, but let's give it a little bit more detail to his head. And I'm going to drop down a brush size. I want to make sure I get a little smaller brush. I'm using a red here, so I don't have to be afraid of this color red, because his head is awfully red. So I'm just going to grab this. And in my mind, he's got kind of a little crest, not a crest, a flap there. So I'm going to give him that little bit, and I'm hoping that it's just going to add a little bit of interest to what we're doing. I feel like I'm not getting the right amount of red paint on my brush here. Okay, and I'm going to go around his eye. I'm going to leave a little bit of lighter color just at his eye, because I want it to stand out a little bit. You know, I like to have his eye lighter right around where that dark pupil is going to be. It's a little lighter around where that pupil is going to be. Then you can make that eye stand out a little bit more. It makes it just a little bit more dramatic is all. And it's a small area. We don't need a whole lot of shading around it. It's just, like I said, it's a small area. There we go. A little bit on his beak. In this instance, I'm pretty certain it's a beak. It's not a water bird. It wouldn't be a bill. So it's a beak for sure. And I probably can't let it go. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of detail on his beak too. That's just me being me. There we are. Look, so you see there's just a little bit of detail on there. A little darker in the center. And a nice light line here where it kind of flattens out to the side, and then it gets a little lighter as it goes up to the top. Looks like my paint has run just a little bit, so I'm going to pull just a little bit of extra color off of there to make sure that I've got that light line at the top. And then maybe I'll show you again. There you go. There we go. Now you can see it in there a little bit. Anyway, it just adds a little texture. All right, so we got a lot going on up here. I'm going to mix some neutral tint with a little bit of sepia. And I'm going to start to put some lines on the tail, and I really want to go across this way, but I really don't want to. I'm going to have to turn it this way. Not the best way for me to draw these. But I want these to have little subtle curves to them. Right? The feathers aren't exactly flat. Right? There's not exactly flat. There's a little bit of a curve to them. And these go right up to the top. So that little bit of curve is just going to help show that off. There you go. There's a few little lines on there. And you know what? Actually, I think I want to make this a little bit darker underneath here too. Give me a little bit of this color. I've got too much water in it. Come on. More paint, less water. There we go. That's going to be better. Just an extra layer here. of dark should help to make that tail stand out a little bit, just a little bit more is all. I told myself a while ago I wasn't going to be afraid of darks, and I talk about using darks. So I want to try to follow my own mantra and not be afraid of painting things dark. Because we shouldn't be. We should all be willing to live in a little bit of that darkness with watercolor paints. A little bit of darkness. If without those dark colors, we don't have any light colors. And we want to have some of those light colors, so let's make sure we have some of the darks. And we're getting, there we go. There, look at that feather. Looks a little better, Okay, I'm going to live with that. I'm okay with this. I think it should come up there a little bit. All right, now I'm even more okay with it. Okay, cool. And I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking this is not dark enough all the way down. So I'm going to do some extra work. I was gonna move right into putting the dark spots on here, but I think we can't do that yet. I think we have another layer that we need to put on here. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. All right, I think it needs to be even darker. It's just running right down here like this. But I don't want to get away from this beautiful red color. If I'm darkening this up a little bit, I want to make sure that we maintain some of this beautiful reddish color up here. And I have moved to a bigger brush. This is a size 10 brush in King Art because I want to be able to do this a little bit more quickly. I don't want to lose I don't want to lose the time I'm putting this on and let it start to dry. I want to make sure that I give myself plenty of time to blend some of this color out. Especially down here, that thin line. All right, back up into the water, dab my brush off, push some of this color back out and right on around. Let's make sure we give like a roundness to the bird. There at the top of that wing there has got to stay somewhat round anyways. This is hard with these colors. This sepia is a color that's just going to kind of stay on the top. Burnt umber is a color that kind of stays on the top. Maroon perylene is a color that just kind of hangs out on the top. And so we have all these colors that just like to layer up on the top. And it makes it hard. It makes it a little harder trying to layer these colors a bit. It makes it harder trying to layer these colors. We're going to get it where I'm throwing in, this is like some gamboge. We haven't really introduced gamboge in here yet. It wasn't my intention to really introduce gamboge in here, but I want to make sure that I get a bright pop of this yellow orangey color off of these feathers. And by putting in this color that's going to make it darker all the way down, I think I need to introduce a color that's going to add some of that vibrancy right back to it. For me, that's going to be a gamboge, azo orange, some of these cooler, not as in a cold color. Cool colors isn't a bright pop of color that's coming off of here. And I'm going to actually carry this color over onto the back just a little bit, maybe even re-ochre up a little bit on the back. My concern with doing this is that we make these colors too dark and too different than the lighter colors that are in the center there, right? A pheasant does have some pretty dramatic feathers, some pretty dramatic plumage, but I don't want to totally get away from what we're doing. So I'm just kind of futzing with this color a little bit, right? I want to put it on a little bit. I want to take it off a little bit. I want to move it a little bit to where I think it needs to be or ought to be. If it's the right thing, that's cool. That's perfect. If it's not the right thing, well, it's going to be, it'll be right for this painting anyways, because that's how it's going to go. And that's what it's going to look like. And when we're done with it, we got a bird that actually looks pretty nice. The bird itself looks pretty nice. The coloring up here is a little odd. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to go over it with just some, maybe I'm going to go over it with just some, oh, no wonder I had too much water. I had a brush that was too big. I picked the wrong brush. I'm going to go over it with just some straight water, and I think I can level some of that color out. Okay, but in the meantime, I am going to add a leg here. Doink. There's a leg in the grass. Here's a leg as he's walking away, or walking around, not walking away. Certainly he wouldn't walk away from us. He's walking around. Doot, doot, doot. All right, all right. Yeah, I love the blend of color that goes around here. It's too bad that got a little bit chalky. I love the colors back here. I think they're lovely. I actually like the wings. I wasn't certain I wasn't certain I was gonna like the wings, but I do like the wings. I think they look wonderful. We're just gonna enhance them ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. If I add just a touch of color in here, it should start to make the, this is the classic way, or the way that I typically do these is, I negative paint around the wings. I'm doing just a little bit of that now with a very light color. Not enough to pick up the color that's on the sides of the wings, just enough to break up the monotony of them so they don't look all the same color. There's some different colors in here, and that gives it a little bit of texture and depth. That's all. Nothing else to it. I think it's lovely. And as I see areas, I could just add a little bit of a warm color here, a little bit of a warm color there. It would probably just continue to add some life to this. Oh, yeah. Well, this bird really is kind of popping off the page here a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of this maroon and add a little bit of brown. This is kind of a rust color that I typically make, and I'm just going to add a little extra detail to a couple areas up here, right? Just to add a little bit of extra interest to his face. Up here, couple of spots of color. There you go. You can see that. And I'll let that dry, and that's just going to add a little bit more to it. Not quite dry yet. I guess I'm going to give him a little bit, like he's standing in a little bit of something. All right. I guess when I drew this, well, I guess I thought about it. I thought about doing that whole background. I guess I could do a little bit of background. What color would I do that background? Let's just do oh, that's too much. This is my big Casaneo brush. Right, big brush, and I'm just making a really light gray for the background here. Right, if we wanted to throw in just a green tint to it somewhere, that'd be cool. Try to think of this as though, you know, this is an out of focus area in a camera lens. This is something that's way out in the distance. If we could see it, awesome. If we can't see it, that's fine too. Something that's way out there. Just some nice neutral gray colors on the top of the bird anyways, up here. And we've got a few other colors mixed in to the background. A little bit of green, a little bit of blue here. Some of that brown that I mixed the gray with is going to come out. You'll be able to see it. Shoot, we can throw some of this yellow in here too. All makes for a nice, even background. There's not much going on in the background. You all know my philosophy on backgrounds. I don't want to do anything that is going to distract from the intent of the painting. I want the subject to be the subject. I don't want the subject to be overrun by the background in any way, shape, or form. That background should be really light. There shouldn't be much there. I'm going to put a little bit of well, it's a gamboge and cobalt green in here, right underneath. Maybe that's a little bit in the middle ground, maybe. I don't know. We can get a little bit stronger color as we get down to the bottom a little bit. Same thing on this side. We can give them a little bit more green over here. Basically what I'm doing, you all have seen me do, basically what I'm doing is I'm stalling until everything is dry and we can do something with it. All right, we'll come down here. There's more green down here. And using this quite a bit larger brush, it allows you to work in a lot bigger area, keep a wetter edge as we're coming down. It holds a ton of water. I'm a little reluctant to get into that phthalo. I really don't want to get into a phthalo here for any grass. I just don't want to touch a phthalo. But I can get into some of that olive green. I can come up here. All right, there's the start of my background. Okay, this bird's walking through some grass somewhere. Whoop, 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 whoop. Done, 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 and done. Something like that. I'm not, honestly, I'm not really concerned about the background. That'll do. The background's going to do what the background's going to do. What we do need to do is now we've got to get our dark color back because we've got some spots to put on over here. So I know it was a little bit of, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze here just a second. Oh, I hate that feeling. I know I'm going to sneeze, but I don't want to sneeze. A couple of these feathers have little black, they're almost like little diamonds on them. Like right on the ends, right on the tips of their feathers. Somehow I've got another hair on there. And I want to put some of these on in a bit of a random fashion, but not completely random. Not completely random. Yeah, by the time we get down here, they're mostly gone. Let's put one there. A couple of these are going to be mostly just dots up here. All right, these would be on bits of feather. Yet by the time we come down the backside down here, there's not much going on. All right, all right. What do we have? I got to do his eye. So his eye, I'm going to start with this bright yellow, right? Or I'll start with a little bit of cross between gamboge and Hansa yellow. And as long as everything is dry around that eye, we're going to be okay. And I think we should be all right. I left it dry right around that eye. Oh, now that I did this, you know what? I did that wrong. Now you can't see the white on the top of his head. How am I going to fix that? I wasn't even thinking about that. That's an issue. That's an issue. That really is an issue. I'm not sure what to do about that. I'm really not sure what to do about that. And I'm not happy about that. This is why I should never be trusted to do a background anywhere ever. Because I don't do a good job with it. Ah, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. So much of this, I need to get another bit of towel here. So much of this is turning out quite nicely that I certainly am not going to be upset if a bit of the background doesn't turn out exactly the way I thought it would or should turn out. So much of this bird has turned out pretty nicely. Just a touch of this blue in here. A little bit of blue. He's got this foot. He's stepping over top of something here for sure. For sure he is. I'm not sure what he's stepping over the top of, but he's going over something. He's got that big old foot hanging out there. I'm going to draw just a couple of lines. That one might be too dark. It's definitely too dark. Just going to draw a couple of lines on here to indicate that there are some feathers here and there. All right, and some in here. Well, now I need a little darker. Feathers. I typically keep all of my line work like this right on the edge of whatever I'm doing. If I get too much into the middle of it, then I feel like I should be doing more for the fill of it, right? I should be doing more to encapsulate that whole thing inside it. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to just give the indication that there are some feathers there. Just a brief indication that there are some feathers. That's all I want. Here, let me do this. If I darken this up just a little bit, maybe I can get away with this. I think I can probably get away with this. Put a little bit of a dark line out there. Blend part of it smooth, and I can get away with my mistake, with my background mistake. There you go. Now you can see his head. And I give him a couple of big blue feathers here. Oh, that just ran right into that too. Bleed proof white. Wait. Oh, on here? Oh, I could. Oh, that would be another way to do it. Instead of making it darker, make it white lighter. Oh, I totally could do that. Why didn't you mention that to me 2 minutes ago? You totally could do that. Totally could do that. It would totally make total sense. I just didn't do that because I'm not thinking about it. I got white right here. I got a white right there. Silly me. Why? Why? Why do I do that to myself? Kenya, thank you for keeping me honest. Someday I'll learn to think on my own. A couple lines for some feathers here and there. That's not going to be dry. I'm going to do some lines down here. Right. Ooh, come on. This will help. He's standing in a tuft of grass there. Little bits of grass here and there. If they go over both feet, that works out great. There you go. Now he's walking along. All right, there's so much to this that I really like. There's so much to this painting that I really, really like. I'm completely. It still looks good. I'm going to remedy that situation right now, or hope to remedy that situation right now. with just a little bit of titanium. Is it titanium white? Yeah, titanium white. This is gouache. This was a weird gouache. Not weird because it's bad. When I bought this on Amazon, as you know, lots of people do. I don't have any problem with Amazon. I'm not saying anything like that. But you know, they have different sellers that sell the same stuff. And I went on there, and you know, there are a number of different sellers advertising this Windsor, this M-gram artistic gouache, artist grade, fantastic stuff. You know, best gouache you're ever going to use, blah, 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 whatever it says in the description. Cool. So I went to buy some, and then there's a different suggestion down below. You know how that goes. They want you to look at some other stuff too. So I looked at the other stuff, and it's this, and this is 2 ounces. And it was the same price as the other one that I bought that was going to be, or that I was thinking of buying, and that was like a half an ounce. And I'm like, well, how is that possible that you guys are that far off on your pricing for all of these? So I bought the bigger one. And did I lose a brush? Brush. I don't know. Give me this. It's a tiny little brush. I don't know. Amazon pricing sometimes is really weird like that. If anybody else has ever seen any shenanigans like that. So now we're into this part of the painting. I feel as though, and this is one of the hardest things for me, is putting an eye on there so it's on there and it looks right. I feel as though like the whole first half of the painting went by in a blink. Like it took like 15 seconds. And now it feels like this part of the painting has taken another 30 minutes. like twice or 3 times as long as the first half of this painting. I don't know why that is. It's just sometimes that's how it works out, that it seems to take a long time to do some bits and not a long time to do other bits. And there's his eye. I think he looks pretty good there. I think that looks pretty good. Pretty good. So I do like, I'm looking at this. I like this. Okay, so there's a few issues. There are a few issues. The background color, too close to the color of the top of his head. I didn't think about that when I went to put it on there. That's on me. All right, let's get that out of the way. I do love this color. I could have even done more. I should have done more, could have done, and should have done even more purple here. Make this purpley-er. That would have been really cool. Pull out whatever my cobalt purple here, or mix my own purple and put up here. That would have been really cool to have some purple here and then blend it in. But I love the way that these colors flow down and around. I love, you get this reddish, maroon, brown color into a tan, an ochre, the little bit of blue that's there, and then right into this dark that's back there. I like the feathers that go back up this way. I don't think I quite got the feathers right. This is what I wanted to do with the feathers. I just think I didn't have the right thought about the feathers. And coming down this way, I love the colors that come down this way. I think it's fantastic. And I like the dark in here. That's definitely, that definitely connect behind this wing, behind the feather here. So they're back there. This, let me move him up. This leg is definitely in front of that leg. He's walking through some stuff here. That's all fine. I can't put a dot on his eye yet. His eye is still sopping wet. I like the details here. I don't think I love the details here. But I think this bit, how do I do this? This bit of the wing here, that looks a lot like that reference photo. I'll put that up that way. Those areas look a lot alike. I think maybe what I needed to do, and I can do it now, is enhance the color of these. Let's see, I'm waiting for this to dry. Let's do that. Let's just give these another go around here. What do we got to lose? It looks good. It's not going to look worse. It's just going to be a bit more. It's just going to be a bit more. That's all. Let's see. And this is the size that I chose. If I had chosen the slightly larger brush, then we'd have got a slightly different look. As it turns out, this pheasant doesn't have fat lines around these feathers. They're rather thin lines. And that's okay. It's totally fine. Yeah, this is cleaning up these edges a little bit here. And it's helping to seat these in just a little bit. Oh, you know what else? Probably these are a little rounder, aren't they? I'm doing them in arches, and they really aren't arch. They're a little rounder than that. So maybe I just drew them not quite right. I suppose that since it's my drawing and my painting, I have to take responsibility for that. That's all right. I'll foot the bill for that one. A little darker, a little stronger there. Did that help at all? Oh, it might have helped a little bit. And then I'm just going to soften the very edges of these a little tiny bit. Okay. I think I like it a little bit darker. It helps to set it apart just a little bit. Let's see if I can do this. It's got a little highlight. You know what? Let's give him a little highlight on his beak here too. All right, there we go. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to go with for tonight. Let's see, I'll sign him here. So much of this guy to like. So much fun. I definitely think I'm going to try this again. I think if I were to do this again, though, honestly, I think this would be one that I could do better in a looser style. I think for this bird, there's so much going on with this bird. There's so much going on, in this area, here, back up here. There's so much going on. I could even go looser with this and maybe even do this better. But I like the way it turned out. I think it looks great. Sudeikis says it looks great. The head is your favorite part. Yeah, look, cool. He looks good. He's got a little highlight there on his eye. That green, that phthalo green really shows up there, doesn't it? And it really looks like there's some curvature to it in there. No, I think like I said, there's a lot to like about this. I think this is my favorite part, this blue back here. I'm so glad I put that in. I wish I'd have pushed this and made this purpler over here. All right, anyways, that's what I've got for you this evening. Nothing coming up next Wednesday. Like I said, I will be at a play I'll report back on that. I'll be back in 2 weeks, and we're going to be doing some alien painting. Those will be fun to do. Yeah, I don't know. They're going to be fun to do. I'm looking forward to them. They're going to turn out great. Until then, you love the color palette, especially the greens and blues on here. Yeah, the greens and blues on the head. This is iridescent colors, somewhat difficult to get, but the phthalos help a lot. You could use Viridian green in there if that's one that you have on your palette too. So many cool things. Anyways, thank you all for joining me this Wednesday, helping to make my Wednesday enjoyable. I hope that you all have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I hope you're able to join me back here in 2 weeks when we do this all over again. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.